When we think of the Virginia of colonial times, the Virginia of Washington, Madison and Jefferson, we seldom think of the word murder. And yet behind the facade of graceful mansions and quaint cobblestone streets, evil lurked. Take for example the strange case of Colonel John Chiswell, someone today we might call a celebrity murderer. Colonel John Chiswell was a very busy and important man. He owned a huge plantation, he was a member of the House of Burgesses, and he was a colonel in the militia. His wife was from a fine old family. The royal governor, Francis Fauquier, was a close friend. His son-in-law was treasurer of the colony. This was not a little man unknown in the colony. Soon he would be even better known. On June 3, 1766, Colonel Chiswell attended a session of the Cumberland County Court to look after some land deals. That evening he entered Benjamin Mosby's tavern. One Robert Routledge, a blunt Scottish merchant who had had dealings with Chiswell before, approached the colonel. Routledge was clearly drunk, and not just a little drunk. Routledge proceeded to insult Chiswell and then threw a glass of wine in his face. The short-fused Chiswell picked up a pair of fire tongs and made for Routledge. The crowd in the room restrained him. He next came at Routledge with a candlestick. Again he was restrained. Next he picked up a punch bowl and made to break it over Routledge's head. Again he was restrained. A sheriff entered and ordered Colonel Chiswell to leave, which he did, only to return moments later carrying a sword. The sheriff tried to keep him from Routledge, but Chiswell bellowed that he would run through any man who tried to stop him. Routledge and Chiswell exchanged curses across the room until finally Chiswell called Routledge a Presbyterian fellow, which was too much for Routledge, who broke free from those trying to calm him and squarely faced Chiswell. In the next instant the colonel ran his sword directly into Routledge's heart. The merchant fell dead. Colonel Chiswell handed the sword to a servant for cleaning and then ordered a bowl of punch, declaring, "He deserves his fate, damn him. I aimed at his heart and I have hit it." The gaping sheriff immediately took Chiswell into custody. The cold-blooded murder of an unarmed man in front of a room full of witnesses, including a sheriff, was this an open and shut case? Not according to Colonel Chiswell's attorney. According to the defense, due to his drunkenness, Routledge threw himself on the colonel's sword. The incident was a mere accident. After hearing the testimony of the witnesses, the examining court found sufficient evidence to prosecute the case. Chiswell was held without bail, and an under-sheriff was ordered to transport the colonel to Williamsburg, where he was to be jailed in chains while awaiting trial before the governor. News of the murder spread fast among Virginia's power elite. 3 of the governor's closest confidants intercepted the under-sheriff and his prisoner before they could reach Williamsburg. The distinguished deputation ordered the under-sheriff to release Chiswell on bail. The colonel returned to the comforts of his townhouse in Williamsburg, where he remained in seclusion. Was the whole matter to be swept under the rug by Chiswell's powerful friends? Perhaps it could have been and would have been had it not been for one Robert Bowling, who published an anonymous query in the Virginia Gazette of June 20, 1766. Bowling broke the story to the general public. Upon an inquisition taken before the coroner in Cumberland County, Robert Routledge was found to be murdered, June 3 d, by a sword in the hand of John Chiswell, Esq., whereupon he was committed to the county prison, and the examining court, upon full evidence, refusing to bail him on a motion for that purpose, ordered him to the public prison, as the law directs, to be tried for murder. Bowling continued the anonymous query by relating the special treatment given to Colonel Chiswell by the judges of the general court. But before he was delivered to the keeper of the public prison, the judges of the general court, out of sessions, took him from the sheriff who conveyed him from Cumberland, and admitted him to bail, without seeing the record of his examination in the county, or examining any of the witnesses against him. Bowling's query came to a thunderous summation. "I ask, whether this act of the 3 judges of the general court be legal. If it is legal, I have nothing more to say. If it is not legal, then I ask whether the act of these judges has not a tendency to overturn the laws and constitution of the country, by their exercising an extrajudicial power and controlling the course of law in a case of the highest consequence to the safety of the king's subjects. Whether the bail taken by these judges in an extrajudicial manner can be liable on their recognizance, if Mr. Chiswell should not appear to take his trial. If they are not liable, whether it is not in fact a rescue, under pretence of law, of a person charged with an atrocious crime." As the facts became known, outrage spread among the general public. Increasingly angry voices were raised about both the murder and the special privileges that were being granted Colonel John Chiswell. The murder was fast becoming the crime of the century, pitting the power elite against the common man in a contest over equality before the law. In fact, Colonel Chiswell never came to trial. Either pressured by friends or collapsing under the nervous strain, Colonel Chiswell committed suicide in his Williamsburg townhouse. By now the people so distrusted their political masters that they suspected a plot to smuggle a still very much alive John Chiswell out of the colony. An angry mob stopped Chiswell's funeral procession and demanded to see the body. The coffin was duly opened and Colonel Chiswell's body publicly identified.